All right, all right, all right. It is week 13 in JavaScript, and I'm recording this in week 12, which means I'm just rolling in, or we all are just rolling into our next dev projects. And it prompted me to do what I did last time, which is look ahead a little bit. And for this example, we're going to look ahead to the end of the semester because now is a perfect time to be thinking about as we move into the section that we're moving into with the Udemy course where we're talking about objects and constructor functions and classes, and that'll be section 10 and then section 11, which is, by the way, the last section we cover in this course, is asynchronous JavaScript. So for the last dev, you're going to have options, and I'll go over those today. And I'll show you the timeline so you have that in your head. But, I just want to give you that view because when you know now, you can plan better then. Okay. All right. So let's go take a look. So first I have in Canvas showing both 93 and 95 as we're in here in April, because the other thing is coming at us next week is our spring break. Yeah, baby. Okay. We get a week off. And, if you are somebody that's trying to move forward, you might take this week and actually try to get content done. My goal is actually before I head out to spring break to have most of the content for the rest of the class done. We'll see how successful I am. But rolling in May, so we only have after spring break, right? 1, 2 weeks, 3, 4. Okay. So that's why, having this in your head is good. Now, the Dev 2, here's finals weeks, but finals week. But your Dev 2 is going to be due on the Thursday, and this is going to be true for both classes on the Thursday, the 12th of May. And then you'll have, of course, before then to do code reviews, of course. And then you'll have Friday and then Monday and Tuesday. Those are the 3 days you're going to have. Now, I will have a wider range of appointments at that time, of course, but I will finish they have to be done by my last session on the 17th. Okay. So that's what that schedule looks like. So if you have any questions about that, now would be a perfect time to ask me. And if you're asking me, can I work ahead? My goal is to let you as much as you want. Okay, so for Dev 2, and I'm actually showing you this with the understanding that I may change this. I'm still considering it, but here's what I did last year. I'm probably not that far from what we'll do this year. Is one option is you take your Dev 1 with your CRUD operations and you refactor that into a class implementation. Okay. Now, the one thing that happens here is we have been using local storage, right? Not for creating, but for reading and updating and deleting. But you could also pull out the local storage if you, and in this case you probably would, or here's my suggestion is you use a different class for handling local storage. Now, why is this true? This is true because once you get the user data and you save it to local storage, and you'll hear this term a lot around classes, the objects, the substantiated objects are no longer tied to the class. Therefore, the prototypes or the methods we think of them will not be available. You can set that up, but I just want you to know you could still do all the CRUD operations, but you would have to and you could do this, remove the local storage. That'd be one option, right? You still have to validate the user data, right? And you would need more than one class, most likely here, okay? And probably one class for the input, one class for storing all the data, one class for maybe, this is going to be up to you, but I'm just kind of giving you off the top of my head. Okay, so now what's your other option? Well, if we look at where we're at in the course, that section 10 is all about objects, advanced objects, which are classes, which you will learn next week. This week we call them constructor functions. Next week it's the same thing using a different syntax. So, and the one advantage, let me just say this, of taking this path, right, is as soon as we finish this, you could start working on your dev 2, your last dev. Okay. Now, one of the things, probably one of the most desirous skills in JavaScript, though, is being able to handle asynchronous. And we're going to learn this in the last several weeks through through Andrew's course, and the way he does the word. Anyway, basically, it's going to a website, querying in a sense a website, and getting some information back. And this ability to handle asynchronous JavaScript, right, is just so common. Like, think about most things you do are not just on your phone. Most things that you do on your phone are actually touching the internet in some way, or the web, and grabbing data and bringing it to you. I think of Google Maps as the classic implementation. When you go to Google Maps, right? This map is not. Oh yeah, let's say Fresno City College, right? When I ask for something from Google Maps, maps. Oh, I guess I just did a Google search, but it doesn't. It's the same for a Google search, by the way. Okay, when you do this, you're hitting what's called an API, and that API delivers all the information back for your browser to render this page. Okay, so that ability to first make an asynchronous call and receive that data, because it doesn't happen immediately, so you have to write asynchronous. So when you write code that's asynchronous, and that's what you're going to learn in the last section, your ability to handle delayed responses is the concept of asynchronous. Okay, and this is a very desirous skill. So there's definitely, going back to my when would you do, there's definitely a benefit to the option B. So the option B would be, say, go find an API that we have not used in this class, and I list what they are, and implement it with something called, and you'll hear about this later, async await or promises, and handle it and present the data back. I'll actually show you mine. I ended up, and I think I'll change it this year, I ended up doing some COVID data last semester. Hitting an API, showing some of the COVID stats back. That was kind of fun, right? And the interface that you do doesn't have to have a lot into it. It just has to respond to the user input in some way. But this is a really fun one to do. But again, it's something we don't cover. We cover in I think we spend 3 weeks on asynchronous, the last 3 weeks after we get back from break. So let me just confirm this. Section 11 here. We start section 11. We finish section 10 after. Yeah, so we finish section 10 after the spring break, and then we go into section 11. Okay, so is it 2 weeks then? Let me go make sure of that. Let me just turn off for a second just so I can isolate now, right? So here's 1 week on section 11 because we're finishing section 10. So yeah, so it actually is 2 weeks. Yeah, so here we go. So we finished that that section in 2 weeks at the end of the semester. Okay, but again, sorry, here it really is great skill to have, and you're going to get exposed to it regardless of if you choose your Dev 1, your Dev 2 for that or not. Okay. Now, the other option is come up with your own, right? But the key with this one is you got to reach out to me to discuss what that is. And I've had some students actually combine their first one and their second one in some ways. That's been really fun as well. And again, I will show you mine probably. I need to work on it. So I may work on it very soon and have it available. But considering that right now we're setting in, let me go back and look. Right, we're setting right here at week 13. I would have to get it done relatively quickly before for you to see it before spring break. So anyway, I just wanted to give you that overview for kind of where we're at, where we're heading. The dates are way important. Way important. If I could just emphasize one more time, right? The end of the semester, you got to have your code done by the 12th. We'll have the days before, of course, and even the week before if you have it done. But that Friday, that Monday, and that Tuesday will be, and this is when I'll hold on Tuesday, where I normally hold later ones. I'll probably hold them on Tuesday and maybe on Monday as well, just to assist and make sure we get everyone what they need. Well, actually, no, at this point, they're not assists. These are just code reviews because they're already done. So it'd be over here somewhere. So anyway, I got to work on that schedule as well. Okay. Whew, it's a lot to think about, right? It's a lot to process. So, but I just want you to have that information. So going forward, you know how this ends, when the dates are, and that you can plan accordingly. And I hope that helps you, give you a sense, because I know part of what I talked about today was stuff we haven't necessarily covered yet. So it's still going to be a little unknown, but I can just tell you learning these last two topics, way important: object-oriented programming and asynchronous JavaScript. I mean, probably some of the more desirous things to have in your tool belt for programming. So I hope this answers it. And of course, in your reply, not of course, but in your reply, was there any questions that you had related to the content I covered here? Yeah? No? Maybe? All right. Have a good one. See you later.